Well, like we mentioned in the last segment yesterday, it has been a quiet year in the Atlantic, but it looks like things are finally starting to heat up in the Atlantic with several areas that we're watching. We have Tropical Storm Gaston over open waters, we have Major Hurricane Fiona, and we have three areas that we're watching for the potential of development over the next 2 to 5 days. I'm Joshua Wisel here with a look at your tropical forecast. So, starting off, I'm going to put the satellite on real quick and show you. We have Hurricane Fiona, which is kind of a doozy out here in the western Atlantic. Fortunately for the United States coast, this storm is not going to impact any coastal areas within the U.S., but it wouldn't surprise me, just give it the size of this storm and how strong it is, that you could see some rough seas in coastal areas along the United States East Coast, and maybe even some rip current. So keep that in mind over the next couple of days. Just look at how big this storm is. This storm has the potential for winds up to 132 miles an hour. So this is quite a strong Category 4 storm. It's going to continue to be a Category 4 storm. It'll eventually make its way closer to Bermuda, so heads up to anyone in that area. As a Category 4, turning into a Category 3 storm as it weakens just a little bit. But that's a look at Hurricane Fiona. Over more open water, not a threat to anything, is Tropical Storm Gaston. This is that storm we mentioned yesterday very briefly, just because, like we said, it's not going to pose any threat to any land or anything like that. It's over open water. So that's a quick look at what's going on there. Just off the coast of Africa, we have a new moderate risk for the potential of development over the next 2 to 5 days. We're going to be keeping a very close eye on that. And then before we get to the high risk area, closer towards the southern, closer to the South American region, we're watching this slight area, that is potentially going to develop something over the next week or so. And right now it's at a very low risk for storms, so we're keeping an eye out on that development. That is currently right over where Fiona originated from, so we're watching this area just because it is that time of year. Over the next couple of days, this could turn into something or it could not, so just stay tuned. But this is not really on the forefront of our mind just because it is such a low risk area. The main concern is with this highlighted area right here that is south of Puerto Rico, south of the original track of Fiona. And this is concerning just because it is, like we said, that time of year. It's also a very a very favorable area for development of tropical cyclones. And we do have some warm waters right here. We have some fairly favorable conditions for the development of a tropical cyclone. And the concern is, if something were to develop, there's a few models that put it moving in these general directions between the two. And if that were the case, we'd have to be watching as these storms, or as this storm, were to make its way closer to the Gulf of Mexico or southeastern United States and Florida coast. Now, don't take these arms as an exact forecast. There's still a lot to go into the forecast. There's a few model runs showing these directions, but you have to take models with a grain of salt. These are the models putting together a forecast for what could be a potential outcome. And there's several models and there's several outcomes. There's going to be a few places on social media that are going to be posting one model saying, it's, the storm of the year, but you want to make sure that you're staying tuned to trusted forecasters. The number one forecasting group that you want to stay tuned to is the National Hurricane Center. They're the ones that fly the aircraft into these areas to investigate, to get data on what the storms are doing. They put together the forecast, they put together the forecasted paths, the risks, everything. They are the experts on anything tropical weather, so stay tuned to them, as well as trusted forecasters in your area, National Weather Service, and you can even stay tuned with us. We're keeping a close eye on this activity. So like we said, we're going to be watching this over the next couple of days. We know there's a lot of fear out of these areas because there's been some major storms over the past couple of years in this region. So we don't want to alarm you. We just want to let you know it is that time of year. There is a potential for development. There's a lot of uncertainty with this until we get a storm that is able to organize into a tropical cyclone of some sort, and then we get a path for where it could go. So we're keeping a very close eye on this storm, and we want to let you know, just keep an eye on it over the next couple of days, but stay tuned to the trusted forecasters, just because there's going to be a lot of talk on social media about this development area, and we want to make sure that you have the most accurate information over the next couple of days. So that's a look at the Atlantic. Very briefly, we are going to visit what's going on here in Central America and into the Pacific. Let's put on our satellite real quick and show you. Let's actually put on our infrared satellite. There is a big storm just off the coast of Mexico. That is this storm in the highlighted red area, where we do have a high risk for development over the next couple of days. So we're keeping an eye on that, but the general direction of the storm, if it were to get going, would be out to the west and into open waters. So that will not pose a threat to the coast of Mexico, but there could be some flooding rains in coastal areas over the next couple of days, as the storm is right along the coast and in open waters. And then we have this low area in the far eastern Pacific that we're watching, but like we said, very low risk for development there as well. So that's a look at our tropical forecast for today. Stay tuned for tropical updates throughout the week. We'll let you know if anything comes of this system. We're also going to be watching Fiona very carefully as it makes its way closer to Bermuda. Other than that, we hope you have a great day. Stay tuned for updates and follow us on social media for the latest.